Hey guys, today we are going to work on multiplying radicals. It's not too difficult and you'll probably pick it up really quickly. If you notice, I still have my prime numbers listed at the top of my paper and, well, my whiteboard. They should be listed on top of your paper because you should be taking notes on this. If you notice, there's a multiplying radicals rule here. Radical A times radical B is equal to the radical of A times B. All that means is that if you take your radicands, the numbers under the radical, you multiply them together, you can simplify it. It's really, really important that you just don't multiply these numbers together, but you actually simplify it at the end, or your answer technically isn't correct. So, we're going to start off easy and get a little harder. So here we have root 5 times root 2. So I'm going to take my numbers under the radical and I'm going to multiply them together. Now I'm not done yet because I have to see if I can actually simplify. So automatically we know the factors of 10. It's 5 and 2. You say to yourself, are they prime? Why, yes, they are. So list them from least to greatest under your radical. Do you have any pairs? Nope. So you're just going to multiply them back together, and that's your answer. So this one couldn't actually be simplified, but that normally doesn't happen. Your life isn't that easy all the time. So now we have root 8 times root 3. So multiply your radicands, and you get root 24. Automatically, you know your first factors, 8 and 3. Sorry, I'm writing kind of tiny, but I clearly didn't plan out my space right. And we're just going to erase this. 8 breaks down into 4 and 2. Circle my 2, and 4 breaks down to 2 and 2. Make your nice big radical. List from least to greatest. Circle your pairs, and again, you know they're pairs because technically these are square roots. Cross your circle out. 1, 2 comes out. And since these are not the same number, they can't be circled, so your answer is 2. Multiply these together. Root 6. Now you can check these just like you checked the other day. If you put in root 8 times root 3, you get 4.89, long number. If you do 2 root 6, your final answer, you should get the same thing. And I forgot to box my final answer, but that was my final answer. The next one that was on this board was root 2 times root 2, which gives us the square root of 4. You should automatically know that 4 is a perfect square. The square root of 4 is 2, so my answer is 2. Remember, when you take the square root of something, the radical sign goes away, which is why it's just 2, not 2 with the radical on it. So now we're going to step it up a little and get into some bigger numbers. So say we had root 5 times root 30. Again, multiply your radicands. Do not stop here. Break this guy down. Are either of these prime? The 5 is. Break down the 30. 5 is prime. Break down the 6. Make your nice long radical and list from least to greatest. Circle your pairs. When you cross off a circle, one number comes out. And remember, that's because 5 times 5 is 25. The square root of 25 is 5. These stay underneath. And that is your final answer. You can check that in the calculator if you want, and your numbers should match up. Next up, say we had a fancy one, the square root of 5 squared. So you might say to yourself, ooh, that looks scary, but it's really not, because say you had 2 squared, you know that's 2 times 2. Say you had 4 squared, you know that's 4 times 4. Say you had 5 squared, that's 5 times 5. Say you had root 5 squared, you know that's root 5 times root 5. And you know how to simplify and multiply that radical now. Multiply your radicands and you get root 25. You should know the square root of 25 is 5, and that's your answer. Say you had the square root of 8 squared. Okay, so we know the square root of 8 squared is root 8 times root 8. 8 times 8 is 64. What's the square root of 64? It's 8. And what if we had root 11 squared? We have root 11 times root 11, which goes to 121. I always get my 11th table screwed up for 11 times 11. And you know the square root of 121 is 11. So you should have kind of noticed a pattern going on here. I'm not telling you the pattern, but you should be able to kind of figure it out.